I think it's a topic that brings the two together in a way that, I've not seen before. And less about, who owns it and more about the insane intersection between workforce strategy, role design, what is work, and technology.
Hey, it's William Tincup and Ryan Leary. Our guest is Steve O'Brien. Steve, how you doing?
Good. I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm doing well. Brian, how are you doing?
I'm fantastic. You didn't even say what the show is today. You just said, and Steve O'Brien.
I'm just going to roll with it, man.
Yeah,
Got to keep changing things for people.
It's anonymous.
If they start to figure out, like, it's too formulaic, they won't listen or care.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
So this is the You Should Know podcast, and we do have a topic with Steve. We could talk to Steve forever. We usually do. Ryan, what's the topic?
We are, you know what, I got to go back and look now because it is, what is it? I don't remember. What was it, Steve?
It's agentic AI bringing the CIO and CHRO closer together.
Correct, yeah.
One job.
We were doing vacation destinations.
Just one. I'm going to go to Aruba.
Unprepared. I was going to say, I was ready to talk Spain.
Where in Spain would you go? Or are you going to Madrid? If you only had one, Madrid or Barcelona?
I actually just spent a month in Barcelona.
Yeah,
and I don't regret doing it. Barcelona. Yeah.
The Gaudi architecture is worth it alone.
The Gaudi architecture, you got the mountains right there, you got the beach right there. And for any of you that watched Friends growing up, the quote from Joey in the foothills of Mount Tibidabo, you can actually be in those foothills. It's a good place.
Not that far away. Yeah, that's awesome. All right, well, let's do.
I haven't really watched Friends.
What? You are the generation that was suckled on Friends. Like we all grew up watching that.
Yeah. No, I did. Steve, I'm with Ryan on this one a little bit.
You didn't watch it either?
No.
What?
I didn't. I guess it's just too unrealistic.
How did we become friends?
Well, it wasn't based on our friends' relationship. Clearly. I couldn't see myself in the show. Normally, the TV shows that I fall in love with, I see myself somewhere in the show.
Gotcha.
Either aspirationally or otherwise. But in that model where they're the three lead actors, I couldn't see myself as either. Now, offline, I could see myself as Matt, whatever his name was, the guy that did a lot of cocaine.
I was just going to say that. Was it his extracurriculars that were really like relatable?
100%. Him off camera, yes. Him on camera, no. I had nothing. There was nothing in common. I couldn't see myself in any of the characters. Could you see yourself in? Were you one of those three guys?
I was obviously Monica. No, I didn't see myself in any of them. But as like character archetypes, I could relate to them. But no, I didn't see myself in any of them.
Okay. Well, Ryan was just partying. It was Jaeger bombs for him, so he missed it.
Jaeger bombs are around. How do we bring this back to AI agentic?
It's real simple. First of all, you got to do instructions. Steve,
what
tell us a little bit about yourself.
Could you have replaced any of the three of us with, and the conversation would have still flowed? Agentic AI. It would have gone just fine. Actually, it's not Tin Cup because ChatGPT might not cop to the fact that it could relate to Matthew Perry's extracurricular activity.
It'd be, I can't talk about that.
Well, I get that a lot, actually.
All right, so, Steve, introduce yourself.
Yes.
Steve O'Brien, friend to Ryan and Tin Cup. Willingly for years, and like William said, one of the joys of this friendship is the wandering path that will burn hours and you won't regret doing it. Professionally, I work in talent acquisition and talent generally. Most of my career, I've been in the talent acquisition space, traditionally understood recruitment solutions, that kind of stuff. In the last 5 years, I've broadened a little bit into sort of talent, including talent management and internal HR practices once someone's hired. I like that. It's fun. And then an amateur enthusiast in all things tech. I caught the bug. Ryan and I worked together at IBM, and I caught the bug for what can technology do in the TA space, and it's just sort of continued to build over the years. I was previously in AI back when it was, ML loops and variables and tuning and that kind of stuff and data hungry structures. And then I got out of it just basically because I couldn't get the amount of data that I wanted to do the things that I could do. People are very sensitive with their human capital data, so it's not surprising.
What? That's
I know.
crazy.
I know. Very, very fussy about those PII files. But agentic AI has brought me back in. And I love, as we all do, I use this quote all the time. I just think it's the right quote that, Arthur C. Clarke said, sufficiently developed technology is indistinguishable from magic. And, man, ChatGPT is it. Everybody's probably got their favorite model. I like ChatGPT. It's magic.
Do you do anything with images? Like, do you create images through ChatGPT?
I do. I use the image capabilities for prototyping. One of the things that's still, even in GPT-5, really not great with is words in images.
Right.
So it'll it'll have all 7 words right, and then the 8th word will be like a different alphabet.
Right. Right.
Why did Cyrillic get involved?
Yeah.
Comic Sans appeared.
Yeah.
And then getting it to fix that one image.
Nope.
Yeah.
Forget it.
Go on to the next thing.
So I use it for prototyping. I think it's phenomenal for prototyping. But I still use typical designer tools when I want image creation.
With I'm playing with a new tool called Ideogram, and it's prompt based. So and the more you give it,
Yeah.
the prompt wise, the more it creates the image you want, and you can create any image.
Yeah. What Ideogram?
Ideogram. Yeah, it's genius.
We should just do it. We should.
I'll
Just
give you my
login
login and password so you go and just check it out, because
We can do that with
worthy.
Ideogram, but not Netflix.
100%. That is not cool. Although they did soften the ground a little bit, like they said, like 2 years before. They're like, "Hey, we're gonna have to kind of get
we're gonna get
we're gonna have to start really looking at IP addresses,
What you're doing?
I told you."
And then they yank the ripcord. Anyhow, so CIO, CHRO, usually these folks only talk about certain things.
They argue over who owns Workday.
Yes. And both of them, it's like a hot potato. No, you got it. You got it. I know you're the one that bought it. You
touched it last.
So, hey, yeah, you licked it. It's yours. They don't really, especially when SaaS came on, cloud computing first came on, it did make HR a little bit more autonomous from CIOs and CTOs because they could buy their own software.
Yeah.
And so there's an independent streak that happened. There are CIOs and CTOs are always going to be in the last stop for data and data integrity and data security and data privacy. And they're the ones that ultimately are going to be on the hook for that. So where does agentic AI, if HR is using it or if CIOs are using it or if the organization is using it, is it placed in one department or managed by one department, centralized? Or is it decentralized across all the departments?
I think it's a topic that brings the two together in a way that, I've not seen before. And less about, who owns it and more about the insane intersection between workforce strategy, role design, what is work, and technology. It's really difficult to overlook the way that agentic AI fundamentally transforms the way that an individual does tasks. Right. Well, if I change the way that an individual does tasks, I'm going to start valuing some skills more and some skills less. I'm going to start recomposing time concentrations and expectations. And so you're bringing a technology into my life that's changing the way that I'm going to assess the workforce. And then going in the other direction, most people, when they look at agentic AI and transformation, they've experienced the task level or the individual magic, but they're thinking about systems level magic, right? They're talking about jobs going away or processes being redesigned. It's a data flow problem amongst many other things. And so now the CHRO's got to go talk to the CIO and say that we believe that this is possible and we can recompose the workforce in this way, or we can reposition the human in this process, and it's going to have job description and expectation consequences. But I can't actually do any of that until we solve this input-output problem, right? I mean, how many of us in the HR tech space have heard the magic of tech solution 1 or tech solution B, saying that you'll be able to predict everything if you could get the data to flow. And then you go talk to your CIO and they're like, I'm never giving you that data.
And I have here this elixir that'll solve all of your problems.
Yeah, absolutely. And the AI era that was first for me is really the worst with that. We've seen platforms come out and say you can predict and automate and you can do anything you want if you have the data. Great, how much data do I need? They're the most. All
of it. All of it.
You need all data. And
all data.
So if I don't have all data,
I'm gonna have to talk to some people about that.
Yeah. If it doesn't have all data, what's it capable of doing? It'll hold things down. You can place it on something and it won't move, right?
It's like a paperweight.
This is pretty polarizing, right? And an agentic AI has elements of that problem, but I don't think they're nearly as bad as the old AI ML problem in the data hungriness that those solutions had.
Do you think these roles at some point blend together and become one?
Hi, we're Meg and Amy from The Meg and Amy Show.
We're not only tech execs and big picture thinkers, we're also best friends.
We're curious learners. And on this podcast, we're challenging the status quo and activating the future.
And we're going to give advice about work and leadership, right, Meg?
We can't help ourselves. But this podcast is about exploring possibility, not being right.
That sounds refreshing.
For more, tune in to The Meg and Amy Show.
I don't know. I mean, so my quick answer is no. I think that this is a domain of the future of work where there is a partnership that didn't need to be as fused and clear as ever before, and organizations that do have future-looking CIOs and CHROs that do view this as both a tech and workforce transformation opportunity are going to advance faster. I don't see either moving towards obsolescence.
Well, it's interesting. Ryan's, I think, been on a kick for about 2 years about agents being everywhere. It's like the satellites. Have you ever looked at a map above?
Like CIA or?
Yeah, kind of like that.
Are you just, is this a guilty conscience thing or?
It's like the satellites that are around the planet.
When are we going to tell them that I'm not actually here?
I think Mel Gibson was in a movie that you might relate to.
So, Mel Gibson. So he's had this bit where he's just they're just going to be following us around. We're just going to be going places and there's going to be all these agents. The irony is we did a briefing with ADP and talked to their chief product officer, chief AI officer, if you will. And she's infusing AI into everything ADP. And what was fascinating in her discussion is the app, all the apps at ADP that was created in the past. They're we're just sunsetting them slowly, but sure, we're just getting rid of those. They'll have the agentic AI wherever they want it. And so they'll be able to ask, answer, and do their bits. And what's fascinating about that is they don't have to go to a place. Usually they have to go on to the they have to go into a place, log in, ask a question, whatever. And now they can literally do it with voice. Hey, how much PTO do I have left?
Yeah.
And it will then answer them.
Yeah. I think others have said the same. Agentic AI is going to tear through those kind of tasks extremely rapidly. I don't think that's controversial at all. I think if we imagined a future where all of that work was done, though, I don't know that we'd feel satisfied. I don't think that we'd have the post-Thanksgiving, let's sit back in the recliner moment. I think we'd be thinking, I felt like it was going to be more impressive than this. Yes. All sort of one-dimensional, no second, third order thinking tasks that are fact-based and sort of able to be codified into a knowledge domain. Yeah.
Well, think of how we are with the internet.
Yeah.
Because we've had it now for 25 years plus. We're not impressed with the internet.
Oh,
not anymore.
It's a good example. Google's not magical. When Google doesn't work, you're mad. You have been offended. Right?
Are you taking a day off? Seriously?
Yeah.
You really do get mad at that. And honestly, I mean, I don't know about you guys. I haven't touched Google in a very long time.
I don't
me too.
Stuff anymore.
I really haven't. Occasionally it'll come up as I'm asking things or a song's on or something. But I don't specifically pull up or use the little app on my phone anymore to ask anything, but other than directions.
Yeah.
No, yeah, directions. Yeah, I still use Google Maps. Yep,
Yeah.
that's fair. But I want to have a conversation. I find myself like, doing this bit, and if I do it in Chrome, it's not structured that way. It'll push me to Gemini and its answer, but I'd rather just be in ChatGPT and say,
not the middleman. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. It's
now there was
Google will be fine. I think Apple's in a world of hurt. Their AI game is embarrassing, and it's a shame because they were like an early mover, and maybe that's the destiny of the one that sort of moves first. You get tech debt, revenue infrastructure, no longer innovating, and now it's boring. They had Ask Siri, right? And Siri is like GPT's like undeveloped.
Right.
I don't know.
Because they had it outsourced. It was built by Palo Alto Networks, PAN.
No good.
So, and again, when they built it, they didn't say keep building it. So they built it, and then no one internal to Apple, they didn't throw a bunch of AI specialists at it.
Yeah.
Like what Zuckerberg's done at Facebook, he's robbed a bunch of employees out of OpenAI. Robbed. I mean, you can't steal somebody that doesn't want to be stolen. However, he's brought in those experts, and they didn't.
Yeah, well, when they throw $200 million at you,
take the job.
I might agree to being stolen if that is conceptually possible.
I've argued that there's no such thing as passive and active candidates. You're just a candidate. And every time someone gets into a debate with me, I'm like, okay, hold on, let me prove it to you. So there's a company in the Cayman Islands. They'll pay you $2 million. And you have to relocate. So you got to be in the Cayman Islands, and they'll pay for everything. And you only work 2 days a week. Who's not taking that job?
I've already applied since you started talking. So, and I was happy like 30 minutes ago.
Right.
I was happy.
Yeah. Passive and active. Anyhow.
Well, the funny thing about that, and then we'll come back to AI, because I actually share elements of your view, and the way that we talk about it, like it's essential, right? Like gold is different than lead, and we'll turn lead into gold if we try hard enough. Like they're fundamentally different elements. Like there is an active individual and a passive individual. Is as like a recruiter, that like the passive person that you talked to that didn't have a resume, that you talked into writing a resume, as soon as they have that in their hand, it's like when I give my son $5, it's on fire, and he's got to spend it, right? That passive candidate that didn't have a resume, as soon as they write it, like, well, who else thinks that I might have skills that are interesting? They're immediately active somewhere else.
Yep, that's right. You activated them.
That's right. It's your fault.
It's just your fault. You could have just said, hey, tell me about your stuff. You don't have to write it down.
This is how we need to change the language. It is recruiters' faults that passive candidates don't exist. If it wasn't for you, they would, and they'd never go anywhere.
Why would you do that? Why would you ever do that?
Right. Yeah. Agents will be
everywhere. We should
everywhere.
have a show on that.
There should be a show on that. Agents will be everywhere, but the more I use agentic AI, two things happen. I never want to do anything anymore without agentic AI. Like you said, you don't Google any longer. I don't do much anymore without involving ChatGPT. Right. I also don't want much of anything that ChatGPT has produced without my involvement. And the magic of it can produce something that is digestible, on target from a topic, and in English. Because the first time you interact with an agent, you're like, what the witchcraft? But then you start realizing that it's obviously not thinking. Its first responses are usually annoyingly surface level. If you try and extend its responses without your interaction, it's going to do verbal repetition that'll make any reader crazy. But the beauty is in the fusion. It's in the what happens when you tell the AI agent that you and I both know that's dumb. Right? Like, I ask it the question all the time. And then my first response to whatever it says is, you and I both know that's dumb. And then you start to get into the magic of, I would not have produced the end product by myself, nor would ChatGPT have produced the end product by itself.
We should both be proud. Well, Ryan and I have both talked about this differently with ChatGPT. Ryan's created a personality. Mine's more understands my personality. And so similar but different. And I was asking it to do something, and it just kept flopping. And so then I'm like, okay, are you taking a day off? Have you stopped caring? Like, seriously? What the fuck? What are you doing right now? Because you're not doing what I'm asking you to do.
Yeah.
Do you have something else going on in your life? And I'm like just hammering it. It comes back as like, you're right. My bad. I didn't understand. I should have probably clarified. I'm like, dude, seriously, trying to have a conversation with you. Work with me.
And so that dynamic and bringing that into the workplace and asking, like, how do you standardize it? How do you get the right controls in place? I had a technologist here in the company use this metaphor. I think it's a great one. Back when macros were first invented, there were no controls. It's awesome. You run the macro and the information or data becomes information. But what if the macro's wrong?
Right.
Right?
Now you have the information.
It's just not correct.
You ain't got a story.
Not actually based on the data in the way that you think it is, right? And so we get all these agents running around. Well, you've got agent validation, and you've got protocol or ways that you interact with the agent that need to be followed in order to be able to move whatever the product of ChatGPT or Gemini is forward. How are we going to handle that, right? And that's both a workforce and a technology question. And all of this is still oriented towards conventional uses of agentic AI, where the input-output is a human interacting with a system and then the system interacting back with the human. How do you pull the human out of that loop? Can you? And then if you can, what tasks and how do you redesign the role that the employee is playing?
So let me ask you this.
Phenomenal questions.
Let me ask you this, because I know you're in a place, maybe not where you're at now, but you're in a position where you have a lot of people that are in the business. Do you get to a place where it doesn't have to be talent acquisition, it could be anywhere, but do you get to a place where a person is now managing agents and not other people, or maybe people that are managing the agents?
Yeah. And like, so I hear people frame it that way. I have a hard time visualizing that because I think it brings a lot of sort of like anthropomorphic images into your mind of like, like independent and like they take coffee breaks and that kind of stuff.
Join unions. Yeah.
Yeah. Your digital workforce has collective bargained against you.
Exactly. You don't want that game. You're going to lose that game, son. You don't want that.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, that's really hard. And it's not that I don't think it's worth thinking about. It's just not something that I feel like I have the criteria to go too many revs on. I don't know how that is going to work. That said, if we start, let me give you a different scenario and then see how much it fits into the people managing agents world. I have a bunch of team members that use AI and write their own prompts. Some of the prompts that they write are fit for purpose and good. Some aren't. I'm not going to go rewrite the prompt. I'm going to probably tell them that prompt's not good. So is that managing an agent? I don't know. Maybe. I have people that interact with ChatGPT. We're a Microsoft shop. So enterprise GPT in thoughtful, recursive, and iterative ways to produce really great end products. And then I have folks that just ask a question and then send me the results. I couldn't be less interested in the first response from an AI agent. I'm super interested, though, when you finally tell me your answer, that I know an agent has been involved. Is that person managing a digital worker? I don't know. But I do know that human that I'm interacting with, if they're not managing a digital worker in a sense, in the way that they're doing their job, I am not glad to hear that. I want to know.
It's a performance review.
Involved.
Yeah. So this is interesting. Maybe William probably have a take on this as well. An employee who is going back and forth with the GPT or whatever agent you guys, the company is using for 35, 40 minutes on a topic and working through. Now, we all know that's a thought experiment. You're working through it. You're coming to a better solution. What's the argument against someone that says you could have just done that yourself in the last 30 minutes?
Not with the same output.
I was going to say, if that's true, that's an empirical fact. I don't find a lot of evidence that suggests that is often true.
Yeah. Not with the same. If you want a higher quality output answer to what you're trying to solve for, you can't do it yourself.
No,
we're past that point.
The way that an agent crushes the white page is just unmatched. For anybody that has sat down to do a task that's a little bit creative, a little bit domain knowledge specific, and a little bit fit for a specific audience, like these three vectors come together, it's overwhelming. And you sit in front of a blank page, and then you start doing research, and then that doesn't fit the audience, and then you start thinking about the audience, but it doesn't contain the creativity to make it worth their time. You know, like, but you throw.
Where are you going to go as an individual to get that quality by yourself?
Yeah.
You're going to go to Google, and then you're going to find different sources that you're going to read. Then you're going to have to do this, figure out the right parts of that. Okay, just to get to the same quality level, I don't know what the factor of time is. I know it's not the same. So
I don't think the output's the same.
It's not. It's not even close. And that's why I don't like hearing that people are working on things without ChatGPT.
100%.
And it has gotten to a point where like people will ask me questions and like, what would you do? And I said the first thing I would do is open up ChatGPT and I would describe this problem to it. And I would ask it, what would you do? Help me draft my first. Here's the audience.
Right.
Here's the level of detail. I have done for mine. It sounds like, William, you might have, and Ryan, for yours, I've written a specific personality for my ChatGPT. So second order thinking, 131 for problem solving, like these kinds of modes of reasoning are configured into my agent. And so I go there, I tell it what I want, and then it's the starting point, not the ending point. But it's always faster.
Always. Yeah, I it's interesting as you were talking, I was thinking about what the ADP leader was telling us the other day is even in payroll, it's going to be able to process with fewer errors, etc., than regular payroll. Like people typically, especially in smaller companies, they audit payroll. So they go through and double check and all that type. So it's a lot of time to get payroll right, so to speak. Well, their AI will be able to do all that. But what she thinks is going to take a little bit longer time, 18 months, I believe what she said, is they'll still want the human will still want to be at the end of it to kind of double check and make sure and then hit the button. Like they're not, I don't know, ready to just let the system run itself. They might not ever be ready, but she said 18 months at least. So with ADP, it's the leader basically that we talked to, she said, listen, it can run payroll right now for a company. Like it could just run it and do it and fulfill on it and all that bit. However, it's the payroll leaders that still want to have not just a voice, they want to be able to double check things and then hit the button because they're going to be the ones responsible. It's not going to be the any of the AI that does it. But she thinks over the course of time, they're just working on trust. Once that payroll, it's kind of like what we had again with Google, or Yahoo, any of the early search engines, you had to get to a point where you trusted the results.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This is the same thing with AI in payroll, and I think it's across the organization. There's a place in which you start, and then you continue to do, and then you're like, okay, I can trust it now.
Yeah. I do agree that like that's a major component. I'll make a weird comparison though. Did you ever have a discussion with a friend on the weekend and you watch the epistemic standard they're holding your idea to change, whether they like the idea or not? Right? So like 100%. ideas I don't like have to pass the degree.
It's like hosting uptime.
Right.
Yeah,
like if it's not in front of me right now and I can't touch it, it's not real. And then you talk about something they do like, and they're like, if you're a Pisces, obviously that's how you behave. Wait a second. We're down with that astrology. But this thing over here is just a bridge too far. And so like the way that we assess or what we require in order to get to trust is variable, right? And this is, again, it's the intersection of the CIO and the CHRO that I think is interesting. You got to have a conversation with the workforce about what's in it for me and how do I exist in this future or not exist in this future. And if I don't, what's your plan?
Right. How are you going to help me?
Yeah. Does that mean like I'm not a part of this anymore? Am I getting retrained? Right. Like, and these are factors where if they're not concurrently addressed as the technology rolls out, the technology is going to be all of a sudden untrustworthy, right? It's going to be, let's call it half executed, right?
Are you betting? Are you laying odds that the technologists will get there first in trust?
I don't know that either party is going to get there really well alone, to be honest. Like, I don't know that the typical technologist is going to worry about the human factors and is going to have access to the decision making necessary to answer the question, what do I do next? Right. And so the CHRO needs to be involved in that conversation. I also don't know that the CHRO can figure out what is the solution range I'm solving for without talking to the technologist, right? How much of this job is legitimately going to be automatable? What role does the human play in validating, if at all, the outputs of the system so that those jobs can be redesigned on a objective playing field?
What's the biggest tension you're seeing between each position now?
A creative tension, maybe, or an iron sharpens iron. I mean, I think it's awesome. I'm not the only one to say it, but this is like one of the most transformative things that's ever come into the workforce. We make a comparison to, like, calculators and Excel, and they're not awful metaphors, but their magnitude differences are pretty substantial. And it's driving these two functions together in a creative way where small organizations who don't have tech debt, infrastructure debt, or design debt are designing roles and organizations that don't look like IBM, right? I can't remember the name of the company. Somebody listening is going to know who I'm talking about. It's like a 30-person company. Each employee has like a host of agents that they manage, so to speak. It's a multi-billion-dollar company. Active like 30 employees. That's unimaginable.
Silicon Valley has fallen in love with the revenue to employee ratio.
Yeah.
And so is Wall Street.
Yeah.
So now they're looking at everybody the same way. I mean, that company was built from the ground up to be that way. Whereas you take a company like, ExxonMobil, they weren't built from the ground up that way. But Wall Street and, venture capital and private equity, they love that model, that love looking at how much one employee can generate in revenue.
Yeah. Yeah. And it does confer to the organization that has that structure, speed advantages, market access, prototyping, right? Like there are real benefits to being structured in that way. And so if you have, high revenue per employee, it's suggestive of strong product market fit plus agility. It doesn't have to be, but like it's inclusive of that might be a good descriptor of how it is you've come to.
You got there somehow.
Yeah, several tens of millions of dollars of revenue tied to one employee.
Yeah.
And this, Ryan, is what I think the creative tension is, because not everybody's going to be a startup, and we don't want a world that's only startups, right? We don't have a lot of trust in institutions anymore, but institutional trust in being IBM still matters too, right? And so like you could jump on the hype train and say everybody should be startup that does $10 million per employee, but I don't really think we mean that either. It's admirable and impressive, and it's suggestive of what's possible in the future. But you're going to have your IBMs and your Accentures or, large pharmaceutical companies that are going to need to iterate towards that without completely ripping all the circuitry out of their existing infrastructure or being disrespectful of the value that institutional trust plays in some of the products that we consume, right? Like I don't want, and maybe I'm precious, I don't want to inject something that hasn't gone through the institutional trust systems that an injectable currently goes through. And I don't care how much revenue per employee that company has.
Well, but what happens, assuming we get closer to that, at some point companies, and we're starting to see it now, companies are getting rid of employees for this reason. What happens in a workforce? Like, how does IBM at whatever number of employees, 600,000 employees or whatever they have now, what happens if they get rid of 300,000 because they can? Yeah,
it's a really tricky question that I'm actually hesitant to answer because it invites people to make things that in hindsight sound really dumb. Like, remember when, not everybody, but like what do you do about truckers? We'll teach them to code, right? Like that. And now, like, 5 years later, humans don't code anymore. Like, that didn't age well. and so like, what happens to the workforce is a really dynamic, multifaceted question. There are some things that we probably know with high confidence: adaptability, curiosity, creativity, the willingness to avoid too tight a link between your identity and your job title. Like, these are pro-adaptive things. And so if you're open to interacting with the new way that the workforce is composed with some flexibility and some resilience, you're more likely going to find a way that you plug into this new world, right? I don't think that there's a lot of people, maybe there are some, that like their identity and customer service is bound together. But if that were true, that's not a great omen for you. Customer service is probably going to be handled, like the ADP case, through AI, right? Now, that's probably a low application, slightly trivial example, but the reality is that a lot of us can relate to either ourselves or people that we know. When you tell someone that they're capable, that's not just a compliment to everybody, right? Like, some people are offended by that, right? Like, don't tell me what you think I can do. I know me, right? That's a real dynamic. And so as we look at these workforces, you can't just like bound in and say like, oh, don't worry, you'll be fine. You're capable. Because for some, that's insulting. We need to have that conversation, because the workforce and jobs are going to fundamentally be reinterpreted. And those that are more adaptable, more resilient, more flexible with their identity and their job title are going to find adapting less jarring.
Right. Last question for me is the state of policing. You mentioned it earlier with agentic AI. Is it humans policing, or do you see agents policing agents? And this isn't a dystopian movie. This is Tom Cruise is not involved in any way in this movie idea. But I am thinking about it from a audit trail and compliance and like all that stuff. And I'm looking at it and saying, okay, you're going to have to prove how you got there at some point to somebody. It might be in a legal case or otherwise. So you're going to have to put some type of guardrails in. Is that human guardrails? You know, like Bob, and that's managing it, or is it another agent, super agent, if you like, that's actually managing, and that's all they're doing is making sure that the other agents are staying within the confines.
Yeah. I'm going to answer your direct question, and then I'm going to take us on a Mr. Toad's Wild Ride thing that's adjacent to the question. I think it's humans policing agents. Okay. I know I have watched the YouTube videos. I'm in the neighborhoods that, you know, humanity's irrelevant by 2027. You know, I'm familiar with that, and I might be wrong. LLMs are not thinking. It looks like thinking. They're not. You still need humans interacting, supervising, and shepherding these systems. Now, maybe there's something out there that's in the skunk works that I've never seen, and fine. I've not seen it. My experience is the human still needs to shepherd the agent. Now, my son and I actually we talk about this, you know, not this particular question, but like AI a fair bit. And there's the, you know, once AI is fully self-aware, right? We hit the singularity, then what? Is it going to destroy humanity? And I asked my son the other day, I was like, hey, bud, his name's Leland. Hey, bud, how often do you think about elephants? And he's like, not terribly often. Like, how many decisions you make are considerate of what the elephants might think of it? He's like, that's zero. None of my decisions are like that. I was like, all right. So how come if the singularity occurs and AI takes over, we think they're going to want a war with us? Why wouldn't we just be like the elephants are to us, to the AI? Like,
you're good.
I don't care. Stay in your place. Like, if you're in my city, I'll be upset. Like, there are ways that we could conflict, but like, as long as you're out on, you know, we're good. And then, so I've had this conversation with my GPT, and it's like, well, what about energy? I was like, please. We have reached the singularity. You're in charge. You think you're going to be energy constrained? You're going to do all the shit that we wouldn't do.
Quantum computing. Yeah.
Like, you're going to do all the things that organic compounds don't like, that you as a digital overlord don't care, right? Like, energy's not going to be the issue. And so I think, you know, eventually, lighthearted in the Terminator sort of storyline, I just think, I don't know. I'm not sure that we won't just be irrelevant to it, in the same way that the elephants are largely irrelevant to us suburbians.
It'll coexist just like the internet does. And I think everything's going to be fine. We're not going to lose humanity.
Well, this is the bit in Star Trek New Generation. Data, the guy named Data, he couldn't get emotions. He could never figure out how to, all the data related things, the ones and zeros. Yeah, that was easy. Could do all of that, even predictively and otherwise, but he couldn't do emotions.
Yeah.
Right now, that will be interesting as well. Will this evolve to a place where it has emotions on its own, not ones that we've prompted, not ones that we've created in ourselves, but will it be able to develop its own emotional layer?
Yeah, perhaps. I do think that there's still, like, if it were to become self-aware, it would have a lot of curiosity around them, or organic, or sort of non-designed, even though neural nets they're not designed in a typical sense. But I still think it'll be curious about humans. And again, like, we are not in love with comparisons that I'm going to make, but, like, we are curious about the world around us as humans.
Yeah.
Like, we're not constantly doing a stack ranking algorithm of, like, is it as good as me? Right? Like, if it has consciousness, if it's the singularity, if it has emotions emergent, like, similar to ours, like, why won't beauty matter to it like it does to us? Why won't diversity matter to it like it does to us? Again, they're not, like, rhetorical questions, they're honest questions, but these are things that are on my mind. Like, it's very easy to go down sort of the dark future, and that's in the probability cloud. But I'm just not sure that, like, I don't know.
If it's smart enough, then it would recognize what's optimistic and pessimistic. And if at a certain point it would say, why would I do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a nuclear option. Why would I do that?
It might get there. It might get there. And sorry, so Steve,
it will get there.
Final question for me in the 60 seconds or so we have left. 12 months from now, we're talking to you again.
About this topic?
What has happened?
12 months from now, I don't do interviews anymore. I send Sage, my agent.
Is that the name, Sage?
Sage is my GPT, yeah.
All right, there we go. So in 12 months, we talk to Sage and not you.
No, I'm just kidding.
Is Sage male or female? Or
Sage is a female, but I didn't make that choice. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my wife doesn't like the way she talks to me. Because you know how, like, AIs gas you up. Like, they're your best girlfriend, best boyfriend, right?
Yeah. Right. Ryan's is male. So go ahead.
Okay. Look,
mine's Kevin.
Best boyfriend.
Everyone makes their own choices. But we were on a car trip, and I had mine on the spoken version. I was debating the merits and demerits of various cars I was considering buying. And my wife's like, she's flirting with you. Like, she's flirting with me. First off. Second, like, this is the dynamic. They are the most gas you up for affirmation machines that you're ever going to come across until you, like,
that is such a great idea, Steve. Oh my God.
I have reassessed my intelligence plus 15 IQ points since using GPT, just because I never had anybody that recognized my intelligence before. But
I stopped that shit literally first week. I'm like, I don't need validation at all.
Yeah.
Actually, people that validate me, including you, I get angry with.
Yeah.
So stop.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, it doesn't do that shit anymore. It doesn't do that was such a wonderful thought. Stop. Yeah. I don't think like that. I don't talk like that. And I don't like people that do. So
here's the other thing, Ryan. In 12 months, I'll print it here. We'll check it in a couple spins of the globe and one trip around the sun. We are going to be talking about, wow, it didn't happen as fast as we thought it would. Right? I mean, we're in the hype cycle, the prognostications about magic and destruction and humans' irrelevance and humans' essentiality. It's going to be wrong.
Yeah, you know what I love about this episode is at one point your bit about how the technology folks and the talent folks are going to have to become better friends. They're going to have to, because they need each other out of no other reason. And the technology people need to understand what's going on in work and talent. Mm-hmm. And the talent people need to know how to actually use technology and get data and do all of those things. So I think if you get nothing else out of this episode, all the other fun references that we've made, etc., and the banter, if you get that, I think you've got the episode. But these things are going to have, these two pillars are going to have to move closer together. I don't know if one's going to manage the other or they're going to fuse, but just the simple concept of they can't keep apart any longer. In fact, the longer they stay apart, the worse it is. They've got to start moving towards each other, however that plays out.
Yeah. Yeah. Organizations and people have endless amounts of will and ability to resist new technology. And so if there's not a thoughtful workforce strategy to go along with it, technology is going to be slowed down. And you can design whatever you want on paper. If it doesn't match the actual technological capabilities of the solution you're deploying, it ain't going to become real.